Despite the loss last night to Iowa in the Elite Eight, the LSU women have been going through a storm for quite some time that's been heightened in the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so, due to some national media articles, opinion pieces about the not just head coach Kim Mulkey, but about the players themselves. It started with an article from the Washington Post by Kent Babb, in which he decided to try to delve into some of the personal family issues of Mulkey's life, issues that she already had detailed in a 2007 book, which raised some questions. Why the fascination with Mulkey, and why aren't you doing this with any of the men's coaches? And then the LA Times had an article by Ben, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, Bulk, in which he really crossed a line, referring to the women on the LSU basketball team as dirty debutantes, as comparing this game as one of good versus evil, calling UCLA women America's sweethearts. Now, since that article has come out, he has apologized recently for his choice of words. The LA Times did go back and take out the line dirty debutantes, in which a lot of us weren't sure what he meant by that. But remember, in the press conference, when Mulkey addressed it, she said, Google it. Well, I did. And that was an eye-opener, way, way below the belt. But it's continuing. In fact, people like Doug Gottlieb, I hadn't heard from him in years. I guess he's with Fox Sports, defending the LA Times writer for his piece. And saying no one likes LSU women because, and here's the 4 reasons he gave, and I want to address each one. Number 1, you buy another player to join your team. He's referring to Haley Van Lith. Yeah, welcome to NIL, Doug. It's happening everywhere. Mm-hmm. Every team is doing this. Why single out LSU? Why be so selective in your indignation? Secondly, he says, the LSU players run their mouths constantly. Again, selective indignation.
Yep.
You not see anyone else doing this?
Competitive college athletes. I mean,
exactly.
They all talk trash. Every one of them.
Exactly.
I mean, like, come on.
Yep.
Number 3, your coach is despised. Not in Louisiana.
Yeah, right. I mean,
yeah.
That's a matter of geography.
She is a polarizing figure that she's kind of a love or hate type personality, but I think it's more of a love than hate.
And when she was in Baylor, not in Texas, they sure were loving her when she was winning there. There wasn't anybody saying we can't stand Kim Mulkey, right?
If Gottlieb wasn't, and this is an opinion piece, he's entitled to his opinions,
right?
But it became very clear his feelings for Mulkey. I mean, when you make a statement like that, a strong statement about another human being, and then number 4, he said, anytime somebody's critical of you, talking about the LSU players, you go to the sexism/racism card. Well, Doug, I need to say something about this. I looked up misogyny in the dictionary, and I'm from Louisiana, so you probably see me as a little below your level. But I did look it up in the dictionary, and it says hatred of, aversion to, or prejudice against women. Now, when you do that to a black woman, it becomes racism. When you look at some of the stuff that's been written after last year, the national championship game, and the names that Angel Reese was called, and the things that were written about her, how can you not say they were not sexist? They were not racist. Sexism is fostering stereotypes about women. And why is it that we have, in the last week and a half, 3 national media members who are white men who are overly criticizing LSU? Now, no, they're not the only ones doing it. I mean, I read some stuff. Emmanuel, how do you say his last name? Is it Acho?
I think so. I think that's right.
Was critical of Angel Reese. That's his opinion. But it seems like people are using a standard toward LSU that is constantly moving, and it's depending on a person's prejudices, because I don't see that same standard being used. I think with Gottlieb, with the LA Times writer, what we're talking selective indignation. You don't like a region, you don't like a particular university, you don't like a particular coach, you don't like a way a team plays, you don't like the personalities on that team, and so that's what's wrong in all of this. And I was so grateful when Holly Rowe tweeted something to Angel Reese positive. We need more women sports writers to stand up and stop this, because it's not just the racism, it's the sexism. We still have a sport and a media profession that's dominated by men. And and we're seeing things like this that show us that there's still a lot of work to be done when it comes to these issues. So I'm going to stop right there, guys, because I'm starting to get a little worked up. My ears are turning red. So what do you guys think about all this?
I want to step in and just say one thing very, very quickly, and then Brandon, definitely want to get your feedback and thoughts as well. But you know, the sexism part of it, the thing that keeps jumping into my mind is take everything that Angel Reese has done, everything she said that has gotten a backlash, things that she's done on the court that's gotten a backlash, take her out of it and set LeBron James in it. Would male the very names you just mentioned, would their reactions be the same? Would they be writing the same words?
No, not at all.
I don't think they would be.
So,
from the sexism side of it, I think that's pretty blatantly obvious. I don't know how you get around that. I think if you just make that one change, I think it's very, very, very obvious to me that the reaction that, and it's not just Angel Reese, like you said, with this women's team specific in particular, it is amazing to me the reactions that they are getting about things. None of these things that are being done and are being said are a first on a basketball court. We have seen them all be done and said before, but it's the first time we've seen 18 to 22-year-old women doing them. I don't think that's a coincidence that it's that and now we're seeing this kind of backlash. Just from the sexism piece of it, to me, that makes it so glaringly obvious when you just kind of play that kind of mental reaction game in your own head. Remove these women on the court from it. Put Steph Curry, LeBron James, put them in it. Are these pieces being written? Are these things being said? Is there somebody saying, well, he brought it on himself? Absolutely not. It's not being said. I don't think anyone can dispute that. Truthfully, if you're being honest, I don't think you can dispute that.
I think what's happening is last year really started some momentum in the popularity of women's college basketball. And again, it was Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And that's carried over into this year. I think what's happening is these men that are clearly sexist and probably a little racially motivated too behind it, are seeing, they're like, oh my goodness, women's basketball is popular, and I maybe don't know how to feel about that. And then they start paying attention to it more. They see LSU, a very, very popular team that a lot of people watch. They see a team that is probably 90% black. And so they're easy targets, basically, for these writers to write hate pieces on. You have a head coach that is loud and yelling and on the court and is very animated and isn't afraid to speak up to media. And you have players that are not afraid to speak up to media, that are not afraid to call them out. And I'm not sure the media knows how to react to them. They maybe the media doesn't like LSU because of that. I don't know, but calling them names like dirty debutantes and stuff, I mean, it's ridiculous. And good versus evil, I mean, are you kidding me? It's like was that referring to like Iowa versus LSU as good versus evil?
No, that was UCLA.
UCLA
Oh,
versus
UCLA.
LSU.
Oh, okay. Well, but the Iowa versus LSU kind of gives me the old like Catholics versus convicts.
Yeah.
And guess who the convicts were? It was a team full of like loud black men in Miami versus the Catholics. But yeah, I mean, it's like it's clearly sexist. And I think there's no room for that at all. Whoever approved that these articles get published or whatever, I'm not saying they should be fired or whatever, but I mean, come on. There's steps that these articles go through before they get published, and someone should have spoken up against it, because I mean it's clear and obvious that there was something wrong with that. Now I don't know. Haley Van Lith had a good quote. She said that it's racist, basically. She said that they're being racist against her teammates. And then I saw something about, I don't know if you guys saw, it was about Kim Mulkey that said that she discriminated against gay players on her team, and also like made fun of their weight and things like that. If players were overweight or out of shape, she would belittle them and stuff. And no coach that is that successful is going to run a program like that. That's just impossible.
Exactly.
You can't be like that and win national championships and be successful and coach for, gosh, like 30 something years, however long she's been. Like you can't be like that. It's I don't believe that for a second. And I would find it I think it'd be impossible to find a former player that would back that up, because it's just simply not true. They're just trying to dig up stuff because, again, they're sexist, and they see a successful woman, like I said, that is very outspoken, and she's not nice. I mean, she's not nice. She will call people out, and the media traditionally doesn't handle people like her very well. So
yeah,
there you go. You start trying to dig stuff up, start rumors, to get her name out there in a negative light, so that people maybe won't support her, so that people will turn against her, people will turn against LSU, and then everybody's focusing on Angel Reese and Flauget, like being outspoken and flamboyant and visibly cursing on the screen and stuff like that. But that, like, a lot, not 75% of college athletes do that. When I recall, I'm also a West Virginia fan. I recall a close up of Caitlin Clark getting a layup and torching somebody on West Virginia, and then screaming the F word. But no one mentioned that. But whatever. I could talk about this all night, but I mean, it's just a double standard. It's hard to see. I just wish people could just focus on basketball, because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
I agree completely.
Absolutely.
We've seen forms of this narrative before with the Catholics versus convicts. We've seen this narrative, and to see it recycled in this form, it's just lazy on the part of journalists.
Right. Yeah.
This is not something in 2024 that we should be recycling. It's not healthy on any level. We want to judge the players in the women's game. We want to judge, what are they doing on the court? We want to judge them by their performance on the court. And instead, we're back to these old, tired, I don't know, stereotypes that shouldn't be here. But I got one last thing to say to these guys from the Washington Post, LA Times, and people like Gottlieb who make such outrageous statements. And that's simply this: to quote the immortal Ronnie Van Zant, a Southern man don't need him around anymore. Anyway, anyhow, I got tongue twisted. Too much emotion in the moment.
Right.
That's right.
I do need to clarify something. I wasn't sure I said this in the previous segment that Emmanuel Acho, he is an African-American sports commentator. He played football at the University of Texas, played a few years in the NFL. I just want to clarify that because we were talking about white sports writers. He's African-American. So.
Right. I think he's just sexist then.
Well, and you know what? Something I didn't say, but since you brought it back up, I'll very, very quickly say, I also think when you have a personality like Kim Mulkey that says, you know what, I don't care what the rules are, you're not going to start this junk. I'm going to stand my ground and I'm going to call you out. The press kind of circling the wagons, the typical like press joins together. So you know all of those African American, male, female, Caucasian, they all just kind of, because we're going to take her down. She can't do this to us. And so they all start taking shots together because they circle the wagons as the press. And I think that's another part of what we're seeing going on.